Hello and welcome to yet another cast. For you today I have a custom 4v4 plate on Seton's Clutch and it's rather low rated. And I think I should probably pause right at the start, because I think there's something I need to point out about last cast. And it's something that Pi actually made me aware of a few moments ago, or not too long ago today. Like half an hour ago maybe. I actually got the end of the cast wrong. Right, so I checked it just moments ago as well. Yeah, I need to address that. Quality casts are right here. In the end, it was actually the Seton team that won the last cast, with the player on the winning side actually giving up towards the end, surprisingly. But that's enough of the last cast. Let's get back to the Setons, the meta at hand. We have Team 1 up in the north, Team 2 down the south. I already pointed out it's quite low rated, and let's start at the rock position of the northern team. Going Cypern, opening first air in blue, we have Eske. Then to the west, took me a moment, also going Cypern, opening first land. In orange we have SGZ terminated on the front slot, and I think I've got something like a hiccup or so. Anyway, to the north of that, on the beach slot in burgundy red, going UEF and opening first air, we have Careful now. Let's see how careful they will truly be. And last player of the northern team in the back on the air slot, in yellow, going Aeon and opening first land, we have Bob the Noob. And I think we've got some players talking about their ages here, and wow, Bob the Noob is really fucking old. Nothing against anyone born in 1966, but I think that's above the average age for the players here. Anyway, let's go to the introducing the Seton team. Where on the rock slot for the Seton team, going Seraphim, opening first land in dark blue and second air apparently, we have Patient Owl. Then to the east in brown, going Serpent, opening first land, we have Dr. Octogonapus. Octogonapus, yes. Then to the south, in dark green, very dark green, opening first air as an Aeon, we have Steamarek. Is that Steamarek? I think it is. Yeah, Steamarek, I guess. And in the back slot, last but not least, in red, and also going Cybran, lots of Cybrans today, we have Iron Dressery. Going, yeah, UEF, I already pointed out, and first land. I know this game is very low rated, and I know that's very untypical for me to cast very low rated games, but I feel like the mistakes that these players naturally made were in the places where it was still interesting enough for me to cast, and also possibly to give some learning opportunities. And also to show these low-rated players some respect. Because I still think they deserve it. They are actually going through the trouble of learning this game. This almost vertical learning curve of this game. But anyway, we have the two front players already moving mid, and it looks like Terminated already had there a bit. Going there first, but interestingly enough, not going for the massive pile of reclaim. Possibly the first mistake that we can point out here, as the usual meta is that the players don't actually build anything mid and just go reclaim with the ACU. That is 11.6k reclaim, that is a lot. We also have the ACU for Dr. Okonapis. Let's just stick with that. Okonapis. Yeah, I think that's actually pronounced correctly. Goddamn. Also moving in, bits later, I think they built a bit more stuff with the ACU. We also have the beach players moving in. Nice, that is pretty typical. Pretty normal nowadays that the beach players also move up to mid. To get some additional reclaim, some additional... and to help out with firepower. Okay, both players actually getting some reclaim. Octogonapus getting a max first, but going for the bits for some of the safer reclaim first. Seems a bit questionable because if you actually get into the mid areas earlier, you have an easier time getting the contested stuff and can go for the safer stuff later on, which is exactly what Terminated is doing right here. Also building up some engineers in that forward factory and some spam now. Now, we do have the obligatory island drops. Okay, yeah, island drop on the northern side, pretty normal. Patient Owl, the rock player, does get the island drop. However, down on the southern pond, Steamerak actually managed to do a island denial, grabbing the side island from their opponent Esk. I'm just gonna pronounce it like the start of a French question. That's a bit of the French, little bit of French I do actually know. Surprise, surprise. But Esk actually managed to build up a bomber that seemingly killed 2 maxes and possibly some engineers. But ended up being shot down, so it did cause some damage. However, the price that they had to pay for this is not getting control of the side island. And that is definitely going to be more painful than the losses that Steamerak had there. Because due to this long-term, Steamerak will be ahead with those 5 additional maxes on the side islands. Now, in the middle, all of the ACUs seemingly have arrived. Well, Dr. Canapus just building up some PD to fall back on, I guess. For this stuff, it's usually really, really important to walk in, deliver fire. Steamerak taking a lot of fire, being the target of 2 ACUs and some mobile artillery as well. Okay, we do have some of the spam for Dr. Canapus now flowing in, but they are not actually getting into the battle. Never mind, they are, okay. Though they should definitely prioritize the artillery right here, since that is doing since that is extremely dangerous. And okay, the fire has been shifted over to that. Because while it might seem counterproductive early game, it is more effective to take out the opponent's units than the actual ACU. Since the ACU health is, well, the ACU is extremely tanky and a bit of DPS that, due to that, you can't really get rid of easily. The spam, however, is, even early game, a major part of the fighting force of the enemy, and if you manage to take that out, that will cripple them in the long term. So definitely the right play there. Autoguns building up. Yeah, the last ones will probably killed off by the artillery. Steamerak already below 5k HP, falling back into the water. Taking a lot of fire from Careful Now's ACU. Though I feel like Careful Now should maybe still be a bit more careful. But I think the ACU for Dr. Canapus right now would be better suited to actually be fighting instead of just building up PD. And that is something that you generally do see low-rated players doing quite a lot. Okay, Steamerak quite low on that HP pool, falls back into the red. Just above 2k HP, but yes, back to the whole using the ACU in combat thing. The basically newer players tend to be very shy when it comes to utilizing the commander aggressively. Because, well, you lose the game if you lose the commander, and just doing something as risky as putting that on the front line might seem counterintuitive to some players, or especially newer players. However, something that is that should also be kept in mind is called a armored command unit. The armor on this thing is quite heavy, like even the Cypern 1 with the lowest HP pool has a whopping 10,000 HP, which early game is a lot. And the fighting force without any upgrades is comparable to 10 T1 tanks. And I think that's without overcharge, so that's insane. But Dr. Canapus taking a lot of fire here, about to die. However, the death explosion is seemingly close enough still to take out Careful Now, who was definitely not careful, since they did go down, since they were low enough. And due to that, we do have a Dr. Gnapus, a 400 rated player, trading against the highest rated player of the Northern team, Calfu, now at 1100. With that base now getting gifted over, so this is full share to the next highest rated player, Esk. And they are 800 rated. Already with T2 air. Now let's take a short look how Navy is looking. They are building a lot of submarines, but also some frigates, so basically pretty standard stuff there. And the build-up from Steamer X seems somewhat comparable. Also lots of submarines, but also quite a few frigates. Now, how is it looking for the north? We have T1 bombers out from Esk, trying to harass Patient Owl, who already does have quite a few T1 factories, nice. Though I don't think they have the economy to support this, honestly. I guess they are still primarily on T1 maxes. They probably... what's their mass income? 54. How much are they stalling? Okay, they aren't actually stalling. Never mind. Since they aren't stalling, they should probably upgrade those maxes more. And little thing that I can see here that's also a bit advisable. Usually it's better to upgrade maxes to T2 before putting the mass storages around them, so capping them, as the T2 upgrade for the max is more mass efficient. If you have a lot of mass, it works either way, but like especially when most of the maxes are still at T1, even in the core base, I would recommend upgrading the maxes first to T2. I mean, it's unlikely that any of these players actually will watch this, so Now, the lack of aggression out from Patient Owl and the double base situation that Esk now has did allow them to get a T2 Navy out in the northern pond, with already the first destroyers on the field. In the meantime, Patient Owl seemingly going primarily for submarines. Especially with the emergence of destroyers, that is a very questionable play. Because destroyers are usually really good at taking out submarines. And especially UEF with their Coopers are also really good, also have a really good solution to submarine spam. Thing with submarines is, well, possible to say kind of a rock, paper, scissors system, but no, it's subcom. You don't have simple rock, paper, scissors, you have, I don't know, something way more complicated. You have the rock, paper, scissors variant with the 30 different options that you have. And in addition to that, also different degrees of effectiveness on how good the counter actually is. For example, in the T1 stage, submarines kinda counter frigates, but only kinda, because they have a pretty similar cost if I remember correctly, but atrocious DPS compared to the frigate, and also significantly lower HP pool, but in return they can't be hit by a frigate because they're underwater. However, at the T2 stage, submarine hunters and destroyers just drag them. Submarine hunters more than destroyers, though destroyers can also handle surface navy really, really well. And we already have an early strat bomber out for Ian Dressary. Well, not that early, it's 13 minutes, so T3 air stage has been reached. And yeah, again, it's low rated, so the air build will be a bit later than you would expect from the meta players. So yeah, still no T3 PGen out for Iron Dressary, especially with getting that strat bomber, that is not too surprising. I was looking up here for Bob the Noob. They do have a T3 PGen out already, so I guess they're slightly ahead when it comes to that. But they also didn't build a strat bomber. Strat bombers are really expensive, and if you go first strat, basically, it will cause hefty delays. Nice bomb drop right there, killing off a max and some E-storage. Another max about to go down, but the ASF from Bob the Noob did manage to end the strat bomber. though not before it could cause heavy damage. But yes, back to my rant on Navy. Submarines, maybe kind of a noob trap because you might think that they're just untouchable early game. The thing is, the game tends to move really fast from some point on, and as soon as your opponent reaches T2, submarines are just, especially T1 submarines, stop working reliably. Like, sub-hunter spam can work, though it's important to say it can work, it doesn't need to work. It's still pretty weak if your opponent starts using torp bombers and stuff like that. Now, mass T1 bombers, not T1 bombers, submarines, all for Patient Owl do work quite well right here. Would love to see some Coopers to deal with this. The Valiant not really that great at dealing with submarines. Not great ASW capabilities on those, but still good enough, I guess. It can handle a few T1 submarines, just not doesn't mount. However, we do see a few Coopers already moving in, and those will just completely annihilate that Navy. Coopers will just eat submarines alive, even T2 sub-hunters. And you can just see the amount of torpedoes that that is now throwing out. Also great torpedo defense on Coopers, so they are almost untouchable by T1 submarines. And have almost quadrupled the HP pool. But we do now have destroyers also coming out for Patient Owl to help with that. So the first Cooper does go down, but there are definitely more to come, I'm sure of that, and yes, there are. So right counter right there. But I don't know where I was going with my submarine rant. Because, like, I by no means want to say that they're completely useless, they have their use, but it's very situational and basically most effective for early Navy. Or if your opponent actually goes for submarines as well, for some reason. At least T1 submarines. Because, like, this stuff is really easy to counter, so just going for T1 sub spam usually doesn't work out as well as just going for the classic frigate spam. Like you can see, we have just a few Coopers right here, and those submarines are getting annihilated. Also a few Valiants, and those are just completely destroying the Seraphim Destroyer now. If I remember correctly, the Valiant... Wait, no, I think the Valiant actually has the same range as the Seraphim Destroyer, never mind, I was about to say. I think the Valiant had a lower range, but no, I don't think it does. A bit annoying right now for me to check, but I think they should have the same range. I think the only destroyer with lower range is the Aeon one. While the Cyprian one has the higher range, the Salem. But yes, the more traditional naval build-up from Esk with the Coopers to counter sub-spam now made it into the naval base for Patient Owl and is starting to wreck that. Another reason why the submarine spam is a bit questionable, because it only seems effective to maybe try a early naval block. Maybe killing off the first frigate and just denying the factory or something like that. Because in the later stages, when you actually try to kill naval bases, stuff like that, the higher DPS from the ground navy, even from frigates, usually works out better. Or in this case, just destroyers. And the shore bombardment has started, though we do now get a few torp bombers moving in to harass the navy for Esk. No, there doesn't seem to be any air response out. We do have cruisers closing in, and those will be rather effective for for taking out the top bombers. Though the top bombers are already doing heavy damage, but seemingly not enough since the naval production is taking heavy fire and a lot of engineers right here are dying. The one advantage that the Seraphim, that Patient Owl has as a Seraphim right here is that Seraphim engineers are hover and thus cannot be hit by torpedoes, so those Coopers won't actually be able to destroy the engineers, only the stuff that the engineers are building. But it looks like the T2 Navy HQ is about to go down as well. A few more top bomber passes. There was actually an airfight that I completely missed, seemingly won by Bob the Noob. And if we look back down south, we do have another naval engage down here, or proper naval engage. Also T2 for both sides at this point. We do see Exodus out for steamer rack with some simple beacons and a few Sylphs. And we do have both Sirens and Salems out for Esk. For the Cypern, interestingly enough, if you don't need to worry about submarines, the Siren actually being the go-to main naval unit technically, because it's significantly cheaper for still very good firepower. Though it does have less HP than your normal destroyer. The massively lower price makes it a much more effective main direct fire naval unit. And you also get some pretty decent AA on top of that. And if you need it, air staging. And a missile redirect for tactical missiles. But I guess the trade-off is that you have less HP, a bit less range than the Salem, and no ASW capabilities. We do now have increased numbers of cruisers moving up to start bombarding Patient Owl in space. There's this position right here, and there are Yensiens being built apparently. So maybe stationing a destroyer or a cruiser right there to take that stuff out would be a good idea. Just to deal with that. But if we look back south, yeah, the naval engage did end up being won by Esk. So they are currently ahead and seemingly winning both pawns. Even though they are technically down rating against their southern enemy or opponent. Though I guess maybe the double base that they get is helping out right here. Another airfight ensues around the middle between Bob the Noob and Iron Rosary. Though I think Bob the Noob had some really atrocious turns, they still end up winning this one. PD is being tried to be built up by Patient Owl. PD won't help here. Even the destroyers outrange PD, so there is no real reason to build PD. Best thing you can try to do is build up T2 artillery. Also, I completely forgot it's Seraphim PD, so it's just going to hit the cliff anyway, because you have a beam weapon that, while it does have decent gun depression, the lack of bullet drop makes it hard to arc fire over the cliff edges, because, well, your fire doesn't arc. But yes, those T2 RTs, those are actually a good call. They will kinda help, and if we do get some more TMD being built up above that to help out against the cruiser fire, those should at least be able to keep the destroyers away. But the T2 PD definitely misplay. And I think right now the priority should actually be building up some more TMD instead of getting those artillery installations directly onto the shoreline right here. because at that position they can just easily be sniped, and outside of TMD range, it's not gonna help too much. But Destroyer Fire is currently also just taking out the TMD that was defending the artillery bank right here, so I guess there's currently no winning this. But yes, maxes are being lost for Patient Owl, so this is not great looking. They do still have T1 maxes. Okay, they are at least slowly upgrading them. But yes, they are really slow in upgrading those maxes. But once again, low-rated players. Eco balance is a process that takes a lot of time to learn, and even longer to properly master. So they be forgiven. Not a naval fight ensues. This time it seems to be won by Steamerak, though they also do have... where is it? Here, they do have Solaces. The T3 torpedo bombers unique to the Aeon. That has an incredible amount of firepower, but we have an air response out from Bob the Noob, taking out some of those, but not before the Navy has got completely wiped there. Putting them at a significant disadvantage right now. Now, proper aggregate has been started by Iron Rosary. I'm not sure what this nice template right here is. I mean, okay, yeah, it's SMD, but that's some very, very well defended SMD with a lot of build power on that. I'm not even sure if they have the build power for, the eco for that right now. I don't think they do. Also, if I remember correctly, Hive's actually really inefficient when it comes to build power, because not only are they stationary and thus a bit limited on their range, they are also just pretty expensive. So I think more mass fab grids would be better than just going for hives. Especially mass fabs around the quantum gateway is usually a better call, because that reduces the cost of the cycle significantly. But it's their call. Though this mass fab template right here seems okay. I know it's not the optimal mass fab template that you want to use, but it's shielded, it got P-gens, it's got mass fabs, it's good enough. Let's just call it that. It looks like the the core base for Patient Owl has now completely fallen, and has got a summit up there. I still think that they should probably move something up into this area to just deny all of the stuff right here. Maybe move in the next battleship or something like that to deal with that. Also, they build a battlecruiser. I'm not sure what that is for. The role of a battlecruiser is to win Navy. Battlecruisers are basically bigger destroyers. They deal with your normal surface targets in direct fire, get nice and close, and just, yeah, beat your enemy in a brawling situation, basically. Battleships, on the other hand, are long-range bombarding for both naval targets and bases. But yes, Neptune's basically big destroyers. So I'm not sure what that one is for right now, after the naval game has technically already been won. Now let's look down south. We have another mass use of Solaces out for Steamerak. But the noob very slow on picking up on that, but has noticed and is now moving the ASF in. However, mass top bomber wave for Iron also coming in. And that looks like some very unfortunate air turns about to happen. Kicking off some stragglers in the back of that air force. And Bob the Noob turning that very slow, and yeah, some not so great air turns, which just, well, yeah, they basically end up with a complete air wipe in favor of Iron Treasury right here. So Southern team winning air. Again, it's a low-rated game. You will see some really weird stuff, and bad air turns is definitely among that list. But again, I still consider this game interesting enough to be worth casting. Top Bombers and Navy combination was now able to create a naval lock in the northern pond, in the southern pond, not northern pond. Interestingly enough, something that I need to point out is that SGZ, or Terminated, or however we want to refer to them, has not actually put their feet into any of the ponds. Something that you would usually see, that the front player later on helps out one of the naval players, usually the one that's slowly losing. So in this case it would be a southern pond. Now the fact that we don't see that for the southern front player is not too surprising, since that is the southern beach player that is in control of that base. But I'm not sure what Terminated actually spent their mass on. Okay, yeah, we have mass fabs. We have a single T3 Pigeon. They are at 140 mass income, and I guess they have a sizable force of bricks. Yeah, okay, they're still building T1 spam. Now, if you look at what we do see right here, I'm not sure how necessary that would really be. Especially with the increased amount of throttling that's now going on right here, that is going to make a breakthrough extremely painful. Especially with those sheet generators. Though that is slowly being cracked by the summits. Okay, we do have a singular cruiser right here, but there's enough TMD in place to deal with that, so maybe putting a battleship into that area, or the Neptune, since it does have some okayish range, would possibly be a good call. I think Neptunes should outrange T2 point defense. Yeah, they definitely should. Even destroyers outrange T2 point defense, so this should be easily broken. Top bomb was also being used in northern pond now, after the air wind, to just try and take out Navy, but, well, this Valiant a really nasty target to hit because of the way the rocks are placed in the bay area right here. Though, with this destroyer being this close to the coast, it's also not really got a chance to hit anything, because it's just gonna hit the cliff edge. Massive amount of torrents just drop on a summit, and there it goes. Okay, there are more summits coming out. And we do see nuke subs. Interesting play. I'm not sure if I like it. Because I think the current situation right here is that the northern pond isn't quite secured enough to justify going for stuff like nuke subs, especially because they are really heavy investment, and Esk is basically currently losing their main base. We now do have Omens moving up into the Bay area to start bombarding. And the exact thing that I pointed out should be happening in the northern pond, happening right here. With some destroyers just being placed in a way to deny the this stuff. To just deny any kind of action there. Now, with Southern Navy being decided, it's probably time for Simrak to also start building torrents, and yes, we actually have torrents right there. If you can be sure that your opponent isn't getting back into the Navy, which I think they can be right now, because they also have basically full air control. So torp bombers are also not happening. The Aeon have a really good option, and that is the Torrent. Torrent has insane range on its missiles. And also a massive volley of missiles. As you can see. Like, you can see both of those points with the bombardment that's not going for this stuff. Because it's the closest. But yeah, let's take a look at the range, at the insane range of that. Yeah. If you start spamming those, it's basically impossible to counter because... Well, I was about to say because TMD can't really deal with those that many missiles. If you're Aeon, you stand a chance because the Volcano is able to redirect multiple missiles at once, but basically any other faction doesn't have a chance of really dealing with those. Well, I just saw that missile flying back, so maybe patrolling Loyalists could do the job, because they redirect the missile back into the Torrent, and Torrents don't get TMD. But I'm not sure about that. And I mean, for that you can also just have a few destroyers in there as well to help out. Or a battleship. Battleships also get TMD. Even for the Aeon, which are usually not very versatile. But Terminated, getting their base bombarded right now, has started building up some gun force and some trebuchets. Again, definitely the right call here, though. One problem that I do see is that T2 artillery gets outranged by battleships. And definitely outranged by Torrents, so some micro, and it's basically impossible to defend against this without air control. Or some Navy of their own. Big push has been started with the main brick force and some rhinos and hoplites. Not sure why those Vipers are being pushed up, maybe just a formation move command for all of that. You don't want to push up your Vipers this aggressively. Vipers, like mobile missile launchers, are units that best stay at range. They don't do well while moving. They can technically fire while moving, but they become incredibly inaccurate by doing that. And also, well, yes, they are a bombarding unit. Like, in a situation like this, they could be really useful to take out the point defense from a safe distance, but the way they are placed right now, I'm not sure if that would work out. But the mass amount of PD right here, seemingly sufficient to take out all of the bricks. And as soon as those go down, the Vipers will be very quick to follow since they aren't very tanky. Well, only 2 Cerberus turrets actually left. Surprising. But 2 is more than enough to end this. However, the battleship presence is a bit of an issue, it seems like. The battleship and cruiser presence. More turrets moving up, and holy shit, that's a lot of missiles. We do see a lot of those being redirected because of the presence of the plausible. And 1 second, please. And alright, I'm back. I was a bit late on the pause there, so I will have to see how I deal with this. I got rudely interrupted, but I am back now. Anyway, where was I? Right, the torrents. Luckily it wasn't too long, but yeah. Probably don't need to cut it because I was at least fast enough on muting myself. We do now have some Psychos coming out for Esk. I'm not sure if Psychos are the play right here. I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. Psychos out for Iron Drossery, and that's a very interesting move. Building up harms in areas that are not defended. Another reason why I would suggest getting battleships or cruisers or something up in this area, because they can just deny this shit. Since there were some of these cycles just dropped right here, and those are not just building up harms, SAMs, stuff like that, and they will basically be able to deny this. And those frigates are completely wasted because frigates are actually outranged by T2PD. So T2PD can work against frigates. With the way shorelines are usually designed, like just being cliffs right here, I still wouldn't recommend it, but it can at least work. Right, in response to mass torrents, we do now see lines of sappers being built up by Esk. And for now that does seem to be sufficient. Also nice seeing the ringing of the T3 Pigeon. I think it's something that is not done nearly enough. Like, by doing this you can double the output of a T3 Pigeon. Yes, it's extremely volatile, but considering the fact that you double the output for a fraction of the price, I think it's still worth it. At least if you can defend it. Artillery fire from Terminated does continue, and we have more trebuchets, we have more gunthers. So that fire is continuing. And we basically just see a whole bunch of bombarding right now. Zaku is being airlifted into the safe area for Esk, since the northern point is still safe while the southern isn't. So they are basically just trying to get as many Zakos out of there as possible. And, well, that is at least going to save them some eco. Now, let's see. Another thing that I would love to see, especially down here, is an engineer trap or something to start building up a land invasion. I mean, same thing here. Stuff players usually do once they won Navy and got carved out some area with shore bombardment. Just building up some invasion forces, some factories that start spamming out the T1RT to take land. Funny enough, another reason to also try to clear out this area. Though this area is basically beyond clearing at this point because we have mass harms, even more cycles in the area, and a significant amount of SAMs, so moving any AR force over that is a suicidal move. We do have some posturing over that, but, well, I mean, if Bob the Noob can force an airfight above this, that would basically be a guaranteed air win due to the significant amount of cruisers right here. And the main role of cruisers, of course, being anti-air. Followed by intel, because they have really good radar range. And for some factions, followed by their shore bombardment capabilities or missiles. And that would include the UEF. God, the amount of torrents. The amount of missiles in the air. Like, currently it seems like Esk is still able to defend against that. However, we do have... How many is that? 5 more torrents moving up. There's a McLeod in the middle, and... Right. Right, okay, yeah. It's moving really slowly, and there's a really good reason for that. Formation move. Like, Formation move is a system that is very interesting, and if used correctly is definitely really, really cool. However, the problem with Formation move is that the group will move as one, at the speed of the slowest unit in the formation. And T3 mobile T3 artillery is extremely slow. So the entire force moves really slow. The other downside we have right here is T3 mobile artillery needs to deploy. Like, well, at least if you're not Aeon. The Aeon one doesn't, but this isn't Aeon one, this is Cybern one. And basically all of them, with the exception of Aeon, need to deploy, so they need to stand still for a bit. Meaning that unlike T1 RT and mobile missile launchers, they cannot fire while on the move. Which also means that you don't want to have T3 artillery in your formation, because it's not effective. It's more, the better way to go about it is have your T3 RT follow your formation with an attack move, so they will slowly move up. Whenever there is something in range, they stand still, deploy, and start firing. And as soon as there's nothing in range anymore, they stop. They just pull their legs back in and get back into movement mode to move up until they see the next target. It saves you on micro and is still rather effective. Now, mass Jensen's being utilized, wrecking some Thunderheads and also wrecking some engineers by the looks of it. A lot of reclaim engineers. How much reclaim do we actually have here? Okay, yeah, it's a decent amount. Nuke is fired, it's from one nuke sub right here, and where is that going? Where is it going? It's going right here, it's a defense nuke. And, well, it will probably get some damage, it will most likely kill a battleship, possibly maybe 2 turrets. If it's there... I think this one is guaranteed, not sure about this one. Okay, 1 turret and the battleship actually survives. I forgot, naval nukes do a ridiculously small amount of damage. But the turret fire does continue, and I think it will be about to break the middle base. As I don't think that there's nearly enough TMD right there, and we have a Tempest moving in. That will definitely break the middle base. A Tempest will break any base, because it's not missile based, it's direct fire. And a very, very heavy direct fire load. Though very slow cooldown, but honestly, if you fire this big a shell, I don't think it needs to be a fast. It also needs to be fast firing. Naval push attempted by Esk up in the northern pond, but with the presence of those harms, it's just suicidal. Nothing is gonna get achieved there. Best thing they can do is ground fire with the cruisers to take out the harms, because the cruiser missiles should have enough AoE to damage the harms. But beyond that, there isn't really anything they can do about it. The harm creep does give Patient O the chance to rebuild naval production. And we do actually have the naval invasion that I wanted to see. Right here, we do have mass whalers coming to deal with that now, but we do also have a lot of land factories. And those Zergus need to immediately start building up some flag, because they need to take out those gunships. And the thing that is queued up are SAMs. SAMs are really expensive, so they are definitely the wrong play here. Flag actually really good against gunships, because one of the main reasons Flag starts to struggle in late game is the movement speed of the air units. But gunships are really slow moving and also usually very clumped up, meaning that the AoE effect from Flag also really, really effective. Another airfight about to happen, and it looks like Bob the Noob, after taking out those gunships, caught napping. Meaning that those ASF are not actually in the air, not actually fighting, and I think we're about to see another air wipe. Yes. Even the Cruiser A was not enough to save the day here. Large number of restorers used to take out the recapture of the side island. Now restorers annoying to deal with in airfights, but with this amount of overwhelming ASF numbers, it's still gonna be an easy job. Annoying part about not ASF, about restorers being that they have really good AA missiles that can fire into any direction, so you don't need to micro them. They are called anti-air gunships for a reason. But a ASF swarm this big will still easily wipe them. It looks like the sheer amount of Torrents also managed to break through the TMD on Esk's original main base. And we do have a whole bunch of hives right here just seemingly assisting that one mass extractor. I think that's a lot of mass wasted. I think it would be more effective just to reclaim the max and start reclaiming the area, because there's no defending this. On the other side, at the same time, we actually have two bases being bombarded into the ground at the same time. The base of Terminated is also taking significant amounts of fire, with shields dropping. There's a lot of TMD, but, well, as I pointed out earlier, there's no amount of TMD that will defend against mass torrents. And with the presence of that Tempest that can just ignore TMD because, well, it's not a missile, that's basically useless. Though the shields flickering on in the nick of time usually to seemingly defend against the Tempest fire, but even then, the amount of missiles will slowly just whittle that base away. Mass restorers now being moved down south to try and help with the Medusa spam, and some of these have incredible value at over 600 mass killed. Which might not seem like a lot, but considering the cost of Medusa, that is a lot. Max does end up going down. And this base is basically doomed now. At the same time, it seems like the southern side, not the southern, the northern side. How am I actually confusing north and south now? I don't think it was ever that bad in the past. Yeah, the northern point now also starting to be recaptured by the southern team, with their pretty significant investment into harms, allowing some great denial there. And the emergence of a Monkey Lord and just some T2PD banks being sufficient to wipe out the forward base by the looks of it. Not even sure what happened to the last one. Ah, right here. By that GC rack, I assume there was a GC built up. Would be very weird if there wasn't, and if that just appeared out of nowhere. And yes, the front base that held out for so long is basically annihilated. Nothing left standing. That is splitting up the Sekos really fast. I still think that having some mass fabs instead of the hives around that would be more effective, because that way it would lower the mass cost of each Seku, making them more mass efficient overall. And you could still just build your hives around that. Not sure, do hives get adjacency bonuses from mass fabs? Since this one doesn't get adjacency bonuses from the PGen, I don't think they do. I mean, would be funny if they did, but it makes sense that they don't. I was about to say airfight ensues, but no. Iron actually losing a lot of ASF just to the sheer number of cruisers that we have right here. And a mass possible drop, taking out the Monkey Lord, but not before most of those factories do end up dying. And with all of the whalers up here, the Percival's now under great threat, though. Whalers getting shot out of the sky very fast. Due to all of those cruisers. So yes, those cruisers, basically no fly zone. You don't want to go anywhere near this with any air. AGC was built up by Steamrack, and that is now pushing up against the base of Esk, who still has a significant amount of Psychos right here, which will just all get annihilated by that, and also the just shit ton of Medusas we have, or we see right here. While the GC is continuing to move up. Esk, interestingly enough, with T3, Cloak and Laser. That is gonna be very hard to spot and also very hard to kill. So that should be able to just take out the GC no problem, since in FAV the GC no longer has Omni. And I think we have a control K out from Bob the Noob, handing over more control over to Esk. And I think at this point the game is basically decided. As harsh as it is to say. Any interesting plays down here? Well, we have a Salvation out from Steamrack. We have a Scathus underway for Iron Drossery. And yeah, that's it. It's currently a 2v2. I think I missed a Patient Hour dying. Iron Drossery now with a Megalith up front, slowly bombarding those Percivals. Now, if only those Percivals had the ability to somehow damage that Megalith. I'm not gonna, honestly I'm not gonna go too hard on Esk right here. They are busy with some other stuff, primarily microing the ACU weight to make sure that it doesn't get ground fired by EGC. Because while EGC cannot technically spot the ACU itself, it can still ground fire it, and if you know the location of the ACU, and that is very, very easy to find if you actually look at where the laser's coming from. Or look at the cloaking particles, but that's a bit more annoying. And that was actually also attempted by Steamrack right there, but not sufficient, and Esk is still alive with that laser phase ACU. Slowly killing off stuff. Now, how is this doing? Right, the Percival force basically completely wiped out by the GC. And we do have more factories now being built up once again by Esk, but with the... Did I say GC? I meant Megalith. Sorry about misspeaking there. But yes, with that Megalith closing in, that firebase is once, or production base is once again about to be lost. And with the HP pool on the Megalith, it will most likely also cause heavy damage to the Navy if it continues moving in. Also Monkey Lord closing in as well. Not a great look. And oh my god. The missiles. The missiles are just plotting out the sun at this point, it feels like. How many turrets are this? Oh, just 18. Dear fucking god. And there's also what I meant earlier with insane range on these things. Like, they can even hit in the Bay Area right here. Though they aren't firing because those Percivals are underwater. But yes, basically looking at anything that's that, it tells you how big the range on these torrents is. Now, Ask still using that laser ACU. But with the game enders now underway for the Southern team, I think the fate is sealed. The salvation is soon to finish. So is the Scathers, and I think with this, I think I'm gonna speed it up a bit because there's no answer to that out from the Northern team. The Northern team at the same time also seemingly cannot hold on to their forward protection bases on the southern part of the map, while slowly being pushed back in the southern pond. Not the southern pond, northern pond. I don't know why I'm confusing this stuff. So they really can't contest with that, while the northern team, not the northern team, goddammit, I'm really throwing around north and south now. The southern team is effectively denying area very well against the northern team, and also with a very successful land incursion on the northern part of the map. Scathers finishes, Salvation finishes. Scathers seemingly going after the airbase, and without any shielding this will just vanish, or well, without any good shielding, this will just completely vanish. And as soon as the power is gone, so will be the cloak field for Ask, and they will be an easy target to kill. More salvos come in. All of the shields are gone, most of the P-gens are gone, and there's a Salvation Fire to end it off. And there goes the remaining air grid, only the AHQ survives. For now. Well, maybe for longer, but... How's air looking for Ask? Well, they currently technically still do have enough power. Though it looks like they are reliant on overflow from their teammate, and that might have just ceased. Never mind, I think if they're actually spending their mass, they cannot use that, and some other stuff collapsed, and there goes their power. ACU is now visible, and with that, there's all of the torrents, there's the just insane amount of Medusa spam. ACU is moving in to try and help, but as goes for the Control K, gives up. That only leaves Terminated and at 500 rated, and the current map situation as well, against a 1k and 1100. I don't think they really stand a chance. Well, the Salvation now just being used as point defense, and yes. I think I can just speed it up at this point. This game will last a few more minutes, but realistically, there's no point in this. Or in continuing watching this. Interestingly enough, Iron Treasury actually losing the air fight, but again, I don't think it's gonna make a difference. There's currently no play that can be built up anymore by Terminated to really win this game. They don't have the economy, they don't have the build power, and I don't think they really have the units to change this. But they do have a lot of pursuits, so maybe they do have the units, but combine everything else, and ACU is really low now. One lucky artillery hit and they are dead. GC just scooping up a bunch of possibles. Not getting too much value, but... well, we do have a SAR now, and that will easily just take out the Perseus, and I'm pretty sure also most likely deal with Terminated up there. Well, to be fair, there is actually a sizable air force out for Terminated, so they might be able to take out the SAR. But I still don't think that they have a chance of really coming back from this. Scathers is still firing, Salvation is of course still firing. Anything else in the works? Maybe second Scathers, second Salvation. I don't know, a Yolona Ors. No? Okay. Gunships are tried to be used to deal with the massive amounts of Medusas, but most of the Medusas at this point just dying to friendly fire from the Scathe Eye. Not Scathe Eye, Scathes. Desperate last-ditch nuke launch. But this SMB right here has been there for a long time, so it's gonna be loaded. These ones are also... Well, okay, these ones are new, but... and that's not loaded, but... Stuff is loaded, some nukes to try and deal with some stuff. Hey, hey Mary, hey Mary, I think it's how you say it. Going into the side point right here in anticipation of an ACOM being stationed there, which quite often is, just not in this case. Second Star now does move up north. Most of the Air Force for Terminated has now gone. And at this point, yeah, I don't think there's any way to come back from this. Gunships again trying to move in here to help with this, but there are no SAM sites, so they do just get completely shot down. So moves up, tries to kill off some stuff. Terminated moves into the corner. And Saw is not going after the ASU. Is that going after the Sakus, maybe? Yeah. No, my Terminated... Wait, no, Terminated says I'm blind. Right, I guess they just don't have any intel anymore. But yeah, with that, the Seton team does end up winning. I know this was lower rated, but I hope you still enjoyed this. This was streamed live on Twitch, link to that will be, as per always, down in the description. I don't think I'm going to be cutting out the interruption I had in the mid of the cast. So, yeah, if you did enjoy it, maybe leave a like, or don't, I can't force you. I don't know. Interactions would actually help with the algorithm right now, because I guess YouTube decided that my videos are just no longer worth watching. I mean, yeah, the casts recently have been a lot of the same, so I guess this is also switching it up a bit. Because it was a lot of 5v5s on map gen, and yeah... I don't know, I guess YouTube didn't like that or something. Because holy shit, looking at those analytics, the last few did really, really fucking horrible. But yeah, if you want to be notified when more casts like these do come out, maybe subscribe or something. Currently, once again, questioning how long I actually want to keep going with these casts. Maybe I will just retire the casting content for a bit at some point. Maybe not quite yet. We'll have to see about that, but once that happens, there might still be the occasional bit of content which is just gonna be random shitposting with of me playing stuff with friends or stuff like that, but yeah. Not now, probably still gonna do a few more casts, maybe at least gonna try to get 100 casts on this channel. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, hope to see you again in a future cast, and till then, bye!